In the opening scene, the film throws us right into the chaos of battle. American soldiers push forward to the battlefield, taking down every enemy that dares to stand in their way. Explosions rock the area as they blast open a building to gain entry. Snipers position themselves, ready to pick off targets, while the rest storm inside. The building is swarming with enemy fighters, but the soldiers move with precision, mowing down the opposition until almost none are left standing. Just when it seems the fight is over, things take a darker turn. As they descend further, an even larger wave of enemies charges at them, outnumbering the Americans so badly that survival looks nearly impossible. Still, they don't back down. Gunfire echoes to the halls as they exchange rounds, but the cost is high. One of their own falls in the crossfire, and before they can even catch their breath, yet another squad of enemies emerges. The pressure is relentless. Realizing the danger, Rudy radios back to base, urgently calling for backup. Then, something strange happens. Out of nowhere, a red glow flickers in the night sky. At first, it's faint, but with every passing second it intensifies until it blinds both the American soldiers and their enemies. Curious and alarmed, they all step outside to witness it. Suddenly, the crimson light shifts to a blinding white, crackling like thunder across the heavens. And then, it happens. That blinding storm begins pulling soldiers upward, snatching them off the ground as if gravity itself has turned against them. The screen cuts, and in the next scene we see them, no longer on Earth. The soldiers are now sealed inside glass-like pods, prisoners in some alien facility. It becomes clear they've been abducted, captured for experiments. Within those chambers, strange machines seem to replay fragments of their past battles, almost like their memories are being harvested. Then, without warning, the systems fail. The pods crack open, spilling the soldiers onto the floor. Disoriented, they gasp for air as a thick liquid oozes out of their lungs and bodies. Covered in the strange substance, they cough violently. One of them, Jize, suddenly blurts out that this is stasis fluid, and that it should leave their system in about a minute. Everyone stares at him, confused. Even he can't explain how he knows this. He swears he's never read or heard about anything like it before. The group looks around in shock. The facility is bizarre, filled with machines covered in unfamiliar symbols. One soldier assumes they've been kidnapped by Russians or maybe the Chinese. But soon, they realize this writing doesn't belong to any human language at all. Stranger still, one man can somehow read it. The writing reveals their names, their origins, and even references to a plague that had devastated humanity. But the soldier has no idea how or why he can understand it. The last thing they all remember is fighting in the streets, and yet, when they check their weapons now, the guns are fully loaded, as if untouched. Their leader, Callie, quickly takes charge. He warns them that they need to escape before whoever captured them notices they've broken free. The squad moves out, only to face a massive round door. The control panel doesn't respond. With no other choice, they join forces and physically pry it open. But on the other side, another door just like it awaits them. And that's where their terrifying journey deeper into the unknown begins. Luckily, the soldiers discovered a ventilation shaft, and it looked like it might lead to another way out. To test it, they handed Ray a flashlight, clenched between his teeth, and sent him crawling inside. After squeezing to the tight passage, Ray spotted another opening on the far end. The coast was clear, no sign of enemies. He quickly called the others to join him. As the group regrouped, they noticed something disturbing. Deep claw marks scratched into the walls near the door. The gouges looked massive, as if some huge beast had once been trapped here and fought desperately to escape. One soldier muttered that it felt like they were wandering through a labyrinth, maybe even some kind of underwater prison built to contain horrors they couldn't imagine. Before they could process that thought, a strange noise echoed through the corridors. They followed the sound cautiously, passing blood trails smeared along the floor. Soon, they stumbled upon a row of control panels, half switched off, and realized that the only reason they'd been freed earlier was because someone had shut down parts of the system. Pushing forward, they entered a fog-filled chamber. Tension ran high as they scanned for movement. Suddenly, drip, warm droplets splashed onto their faces. When they looked up, their blood ran cold. Hanging from the ceiling were mutilated human corpses, missing limbs, butchered beyond recognition. The nightmare didn't end there. The next room was just as horrifying, bodies scattered everywhere. But in the middle of the carnage, a girl was tied up and she was still alive. The soldiers rushed to free her, and she introduced herself as Ravi. Before they could ask questions, a monstrous alien lunged at them, slashing one soldier with its enormous claws. Chaos erupted. In the back chamber, another soldier stumbled upon a strange weapon unlike anything they'd seen before. Meanwhile, the others unloaded their rifles on the creature, but the bullets did nothing. It shrugged them off effortlessly. With a single blow, the alien knocked 3 men unconscious. Callie, the squad's leader, grabbed the alien weapon and launched an attack. The blast barely slowed the beast, and in seconds, it had her by the throat, tossing her across the room. The gun clattered to the floor. Acting quickly, another soldier scooped it up, reloaded, and fired just as the creature charged. The blast sent the monster crashing to the ground. Everyone thought it was over, until the alien roared back to life, angrier than before. Before it could strike again, Ravi snatched a gun and fired straight into its eye. This time, the monster collapsed for good. After the fight, Ravi said something cryptic before walking off. The soldiers couldn't understand her words, but it felt like an invitation to follow. Some did. Others stayed behind to help their wounded, only to realize one of their brothers had already died. As they moved on, something even stranger happened. One soldier realized he could understand Ravi's language, even though he'd never learned it. At the same time, Ravi began speaking broken English, despite never knowing it before. The mystery deepened, but there wasn't time to think. Ahead, a swarm of new monsters appeared, armed with advanced laser weapons. The squad fought back with everything they had, but the aliens' firepower was overwhelming. Ravi was struck and fell to the ground. A soldier scooped her up, dragging her to safety, while another stayed behind to provide cover fire. Bullets and lasers filled the air as they retreated into another corridor. Ravi spotted a lever on the wall and yanked it, causing a massive door to slam shut, trapping the monsters behind it. But knowing it could be unlocked from the other side, she jammed a knife into the mechanism, sealing it shut for good. The creatures pounded on the door with terrifying force, and the soldiers knew it wouldn't hold forever. Searching frantically, they found cables dangling from above and climbed into another ventilation shaft. The last soldier held his ground, firing at the swarm before pulling himself into the vent. But as he climbed, one of the monsters grabbed his legs and dragged him back. Another alien crawled into the vent, closing in on the group until Roddy blasted it in the head with the alien weapon, killing it instantly. The survivors finally emerged into another room, exhausted and shaken, but grief hung heavy over them. Two of their comrades were gone, and the weight of those losses followed them as they pressed on through the nightmare. The group was on edge, frustration spilling out as they snapped at one another. One soldier even questioned Rudy, "How do you even know how to fire that alien weapon?" Meanwhile, Rafi, who had taken a laser hit to the leg, was badly wounded. They quickly wrapped his injury with makeshift bandages, but everyone could see the pain in his face. Amidst the tension, Ravi spoke up. She told them she was convinced these weren't just strange creatures. They were aliens, and if they wanted to survive, they needed to keep moving and find somewhere safe. But Nash couldn't calm himself. Panic had a grip on him, and when he began spiraling, Rod snapped back at him, telling him to toughen up and hold it together. The arguing got louder until Rafi, grimacing through the pain, silenced them all. He reminded them that the aliens already knew they were here, and staying put was a death sentence. He suspected the facility was crawling with motion sensors, making it easy for the aliens to track their every step. And worse, he believed the creatures weren't just experimenting on them. They were feeding on humans. With that chilling thought, the group pressed forward. Beyond the next door was a massive bridge illuminated with dozens of glowing cylinders. At first, they thought the lights were part of the structure, but as they looked closer, they realized the truth. Inside each cylinder were human beings. Robbie explained these weren't corpses, but living humans kept in some kind of forced sleep. Disturbed, they pushed further and reached another chamber lined with giant storage containers. Robbie whispered that these were filled with stolen items from Earth, resources the aliens had been hoarding. But something felt wrong. The aliens hadn't attacked yet, and Ravi feared they were being lured into a trap. Meanwhile, Callie and Rod were growing restless. They believed the only way to survive was to take the fight to the aliens, to draw them out and strike first. Ravi disagreed, warning them it was reckless. But Jazz didn't wait. He marched into the hallway and began singing loudly, deliberately revealing their location. It worked. Within moments, hordes of aliens swarmed toward him. Jazz fired back, hiding between shots, but his bullets barely slowed them. Still, the noise and gunfire enraged the creatures, pushing them closer to the containers. That's when Rudy, perched high above like a sniper, unleashed the alien laser rifle. One by one, the monsters fell as the rest of the squad joined in, ambushing them from the shadows. For a moment, it looked like they had won. But then, a fresh squad of aliens arrived. These weren't like the others. They advanced with invisible shields, blocking every attack, even the laser rifles. The soldiers realized they had only two options now: fight until death or run. They chose to run. Sprinting across the containers, they tried to lose their pursuers in a maze of storage crates. But disaster struck. One alien targeted Jais, blasting him in the waist. He dropped instantly, dead before anyone could react. Nash, seeing another brother fall, erupted in rage. Fueled by fury, he unloaded his weapon into the creature's head, killing it on the spot. The survivors fled into another corridor, Nash covering the rear. Ravi spotted a lever and yanked it, sealing a heavy door behind them. But their relief didn't last long. Another wave of aliens appeared from the opposite side. With no choice, the group dove into a tunnel chute, sliding down into a horrifying pit. The stench hit them first. Piles of rotting flesh and human remains littered the ground, the air so foul that some soldiers vomited on the spot. Nash began to unravel again, but the others shouted at him to stay focused. And then, something unexpected. A woman's voice echoed from above. They looked up to see a rope being lowered. Ravi froze in disbelief. Standing there was her mother, reaching out to save them. Without hesitation, Ravi climbed first and threw her arms around her mother, holding her tight after everything she'd just endured. The soldiers stood in silence, staring at the two women who had just appeared before them. To their surprise, Ravi's mother was dressed in a Russian military uniform. That's when the truth clicked. She and her companion were Russian soldiers. But in this war, nationality didn't matter anymore. This wasn't America versus Russia. This was humanity against aliens, and survival was the only mission that united them. Anya, Ravi's mother, led the group through hidden passages, carefully avoiding the sensors scattered throughout the base. She guided them to a basement through a concealed hatch. Unlike the cold, sterile corridors above, the walls here were strangely decorated, almost as if someone had tried to make this underground prison feel like home. Once safe inside, the soldiers explained to Anya what had happened. The last thing they remembered was fighting on the battlefield. Then, suddenly, they lost consciousness and woke up submerged inside strange pods filled with liquid. Anya nodded knowingly. She told them that what they had seen was the aliens' trophy room. If the system hadn't been shut down by accident, they would never have escaped those chambers. She went on to share her own story. She had been captured a long time ago, so long, in fact, that she had lost track of time. By her best guess, it had been at least 20, maybe even 30 years since her abduction. That's when the soldiers realized something shocking. Ravi, who had been fighting alongside them this whole time, must have been born inside this very alien base. Anya revealed the grim truth. This place was a prison, and the creatures they'd been battling were not invaders by accident. Humans themselves had once called the aliens here, believing they'd be allies. But the moment they arrived, they seized control. Their first move was terrifyingly strategic. They abducted the world's top military planners and strapped special devices to their brains. These machines allowed the aliens to read human battle tactics and, worse, implant false experiences into their minds. The wars the soldiers remembered fighting weren't real at all. They had been simulations, mental games orchestrated by the aliens to study how humans strategize and adapt in combat. And with that knowledge, the aliens were able to dismantle Earth's defenses and crush humanity in a matter of weeks. Anya explained that the devices were two-way systems, downloading memories and skills into their brains just as easily as extracting them. That's why some of them had suddenly gained knowledge of strange languages and advanced fighting techniques. She admitted she too had once been trapped in the stasis chambers, until fellow prisoners risked everything to free her. Though her companions had all perished, she managed to survive in hiding. Now, she warned, the aliens had a much larger goal. Almost all of humanity was in deep sleep, trapped in pods. Meanwhile, the aliens were working to reestablish contact with their homeworld. If they succeeded, reinforcements would arrive, an endless swarm of invaders. The war would become unwinnable. The only hope was to stop them before that signal could be sent. The revelation hit the soldiers hard. Nash pulled out a worn photo of his family. With a heavy sigh, he said what they were all thinking. There was no going back home anymore. But if they couldn't save themselves, maybe they could save what was left of humanity. His words stirred something in the others. Memories of children, now decades older, flashed in their minds. That sealed it. Their new mission was clear. Hunt down the remaining aliens and destroy them. Anya laid out the plan. According to her account, there were still at least 24 aliens left on the top deck, and these were far more dangerous than the ones they had faced before. The catch was that the deck was lined with sensors. Once they stepped foot up there, the aliens would know instantly. Their only choice was to fight head-on. Fortunately, Anya still had explosives hidden away, which could turn the tide. With everything in place, the group launched their assault. Anya and Rudy planted bombs along the top deck, while the others prepared to distract the enemy. Rudy was the first to spot trouble, 2 alien guards and sensor, already splattered with blood. Without hesitation, he blasted the sensor, but the noise alerted the guards. The alarm spread quickly, and soon, dozens of aliens converged on their location. The soldiers met them head-on, unleashing fire while using the body of a fallen alien as a makeshift shield. The battle raged through the corridors, gunfire and shrieks echoing as they fought tooth and nail. But the aliens weren't reckless. Using their uncanny senses, they split their forces, sending half their squad to flank the humans from the other side. The soldiers realized the fight had only just begun. Anya was carefully planting explosives when she suddenly froze. The distant screeches of approaching aliens echoed through the halls. She quickly warned the others. The team knew they were cornered, but there was no turning back. They braced themselves for the fight. Rudy, determined to buy his squad some time, stood his ground. He opened fire with the alien laser rifle, dropping several enemies in a blaze of energy. But then the weapon sputtered and died. Desperate, he switched back to his old gun, but against these creatures it was useless. The aliens easily overpowered him, hoisting him onto their shield and hurling him across the chamber. Knowing his end had come, Rudy gritted his teeth, pulled a pin on the bomb in his hand, and detonated it, sacrificing himself and wiping out a wave of aliens in the blast. The fight wasn't over. More enemies burst in from another corridor, overwhelming the humans. In the chaos, Ravi's mother was struck. Ravi screamed for her, but before Nash could pull her to safety, Anya ripped open her vest, strapped with explosives, and triggered them all at once. The chamber collapsed, crushing both her and the aliens inside. Shaken but alive, Nash knew what had to be done. He dragged Ravi into a hiding spot, then stepped out into the open, deliberately making noise to draw the aliens toward him. He began to sing, his voice echoing through the corridors, luring the monsters away from Ravi. With grim determination, he fought them head-on, blasting one after another with their own stolen weapons. When an entire squad surrounded him, Nash considered using his last bombs to end it all. But instead of giving up, he charged forward, unloading every bullet he had. Against all odds, he took them all down. Meanwhile, in another section of the base, Ravi stumbled across an alien prison. Kelly was already there, silently picking off guards. But before he could free the captives, a guard struck him from behind, knocking him unconscious. Time blurred. Kelly dreamed of his daughter, laughing and playing back on Earth, before the aliens tore her away. With a jolt, he regained consciousness, only to realize he was chained inside a cell. Across from him was Ravi, trapped as well. Moments later, an alien dragged Kelly by his legs toward a gaping pit. It dangled him over the hole, preparing to mutilate him. But just as the creature raised its blade, a shot rang out. The alien dropped dead. Nash had been hiding inside the pit, waiting for his chance. He pulled Kelly to safety, and together, the two men stormed to the prison, gunning down every alien in their path. They freed Ravi, as well as dozens of other human prisoners. With the survivors escaping, they sealed the door behind them. Now reunited, the three, Ravi, Kelly, and Nash, fought side by side. But more alien guards swarmed in, forcing them into another corridor. Pinned down, Nash made a fateful decision. He tossed his bomb belt into a nearby chamber and slammed the door shut. The explosion rocked the base, obliterating the alien squad chasing them. Nash laughed in relief, convinced they'd finally made it, but he celebrated too soon. From the smoke, a massive claw tore through the door. An alien plunged its blade-like arm straight into Nash's chest. He gasped, blood filling his lungs, and collapsed as the door swung open. Standing there was no ordinary alien. This was their leader, the one orchestrating it all. Kelly steadied himself, grief and rage boiling inside. Grabbing a knife, he charged. But the alien was far too powerful. With terrifying strength, it lifted Kelly by the neck, slammed him into the ceiling, and hurled him to the ground like a rag doll. The real battle had only just begun. Kelly's knife slipped from his hand and clattered to the floor. The alien wasted no time, snatching it up and now advancing with two blades in hand. Just as it was about to step through the doorway, Ravi slammed the heavy door shut. The timing was perfect. The creature was caught in between, crushed and sliced clean in half. The nightmare was finally over. For the first time in what felt like forever, silence filled the air. No more screeches, no more gunfire, just stillness. All the aliens had been wiped out. Kelly rushed toward Ravi, who had already moved a little ahead. A faint glow was shining from above. It wasn't just a flicker, it was daylight. The way out. But Ravi froze, fear gripping him. After everything they had faced, the thought of stepping into the unknown was terrifying. Kelly placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder, urging him forward. Together, they climbed toward the light. Breaking through the surface, Kelly squinted, seeing Earth again after so long. Ravi looked around wide-eyed, taking it in for the very first time in his life. But their relief quickly faded. What stood before them wasn't the home they had hoped to see. The Earth was ruined, scarred, broken, lifeless. The truth hit them hard. The aliens had already brought devastation to the planet. And with that haunting image, the story comes to a chilling end.